guys, welcome here. Let's play Final Fantasy VI. Last time we made it to the Returner's hideout. This time, we should go talk to their leader. But first we'll steal that extra potion, why not? What is going on? Bannon. Oddly enough, if you look over at the side there, they have different translations. Bannon with an O, or Bannon with two A's and two N's. Well, two N's in the middle, three N's total. A lot of N's. Kind of weird how they've translated it different ways, but anyway. The girl who can talk to espers. Again, if you notice over at the Game Boy Advanced translation here, this is the girl with whom the Esper responded. If you remember at the very beginning, there was some kind of connection there, but we didn't hear anything about talking. It's an interesting translation, just in general. It's a curiosity. Empire had complete control over her. "50 of the Empire's best soldiers in a few minutes." We had heard about that. See, I like the Game Boy Advance's approach here. You can see, you know, in the Super Nintendo version, it's almost like she's yelling an adamant denial, but with her head down turned like that, it seems she can't believe it more so than she would be angrily kind of denying it. Seems like a better choice for the scene. Doesn't remember anything. Now, here, interesting, I was looking at this one because this was a weird line anytime I looked at it. Now, apparently the word translates into something to like running away, so that's why the Super Nintendo version says, you know, to stay where you are. It was just a mistranslation, because in this case the running away is hiding from the truth. It's kind of a bit of a metaphor. So the Game Boy Advance translation, I'm learning, seems to be doing a really good job of fixing some of the errors from this version of the translation, and making things make a little more sense. Once when people were pure and innocent, that's never been the case. There was a box they were told never to open. One man went and opened it anyway. He unleashed all the evils of the world. Envy, greed, pride, violence, and control. Now, I don't know where they picked these ones from. I was looking at something about this one because I figured it was just a biblical reference, but apparently it's not. We scroll down here on the Game Boy Advance one here, they've turned it into kind of more of a biblical thing with pride, envy, greed, wrath, and gluttony. The thing is, every time I hear about these deadly sins, I'm always going to think back to Full Metal, because Full Metal Alchemist has basically turned these terms into characters in my head, and I will never think back to, you know, a biblical reference with them. The first thought in my head is always going to be the characters from Full Metal, because they're so good. Anyway, some of the other translations here choose different ones. Jealousy, greed, envy, greed, hatred, and control. And the Google translation completely screws the pooch on the entire thing. The original translation, the first two are pride and envy, or envy and greed. The other ones are like monopolistic, destruction, and something. I can't remember what. I remember looking at it a while ago, but they were all kind of different, so it was an interesting kind of take on things. All that was left in the box was a single ray of light, hope. Now, even if in the original version they weren't, what's the word I'm looking for? even if they weren't saying something that was biblical, the story here is basically Pandora's box, which I believe is a Greek myth? Greek, Roman, one of the two. Pretty sure anyway. Yeah, so Pandora's box was open, released all of the evils of the world, and what was left after they all escaped was a single, one thing remained, and that was hope. So it's an interesting little story there that they're talking about. We now confront those evils. You are our last ray of hope.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Now, I like in the Game Boy Advance, he's saying that your power is a gift, not a curse. A little more kind of reassurance. Instead of just, he seems to be trying to work through what he wants to do here. Well, awakening once again. Someone important to me was jailed by the Empire. I've hated the Empire ever since. Joined the Returners when I realized the Empire was rotten to the core and I wanted to make a difference. Now, this translation is a little wonky because the Empire stole someone important from me, not jailed. Stole. Seems like it's more of a metaphor. If you look even at the Google translation, I was robbed of the important person to the Empire. Well, he was robbed of an important person. If we stop the thing there, it makes sense. The Empire took someone away from me. So yeah, it seems like the SNES translation kind of went a step further. The other one seemed to make be a little more kind of consistent. No one important in my life. No family, no friends. And the SNES version kind of leans into this whole significant other thing, which I'm not exactly... Well, maybe she's relating to what Locke said and interpreting that the person that was important to him that he lost was his significant other. Either way, there's kind of a little bit of a disconnect there. Sure, there are people who feel you're important to them. They're counting on you. Alright, let's talk to some of our other characters here. Seem to get the same thing in each of the translations there. Don't you tell him I said that. He'll turn red as a tomato in the Game Boy Advance translation there. I love that because of what we'll see later in the game. I'm not sure if they were doing that on purpose, but since the Game Boy Advance translation was made years later, it probably was. The Empire is arresting returners everywhere. Discover some means of fighting back. Game Boy Advance translation, the Empire is snuffing out returners wherever it finds them. So arresting, killing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Interestingly enough, someone dropped a scrap of paper. Let's leave it there. It's the only thing that leads to a different line, so I'm not going to bother showing off anything else. Alright, up here, we couldn't go here before. Let's talk to you. Please join our battle. Well, let's loot everything here we can. True Knight. Antidote. Little tincture action here. Let's see if I can navigate through walls here and get a white cape. White cape's actually not half bad. Protects them from status effects, but it gives you magic evade, which is nice, since you don't get that everywhere. So adding that, those items that we just picked up here to the 2 that we got last time, that should be all of the 9 items in this area. There is 1 additional item that we can get. Let's go find... Actually, did we find Edgar yet? Let's talk to Edgar. Yeah, here's Edgar. It's going to be tough to talk you into helping us. If we push you too hard, we're no different from the Empire. It's nice to kind of see the Game Boy Advance's reaction to this. It's not easy asking you so much. Yeah, like the Game Boy Advance is kind of a more natural sounding translation, but at the same time, some of the quirkiness is lost. And well, with these games, I like the quirkiness. Trying to deliver these lines in, say, a remake of this game would not go well. It would sound ridiculous. But anyway, Bannon went outside. This is where I'm going to save state because, well, things can go differently depending on how you do this scene. Have you made a decision? Will you become our last ray of hope? No. Now, if you respond no to him 3 times, it's not one of those but thou must situations, in a sense. Because things actually go differently. She's so not sure of herself at this point that she can't comprehend why people would have a lot of faith in her, because she doesn't have any faith in herself. Well, that doesn't sound good at all. Those wounds look awful. See, like, even with that line, there's just a lot more character in the original SNES translation, even though it makes, you know, it's a serious situation, you probably should use a more direct line. South Figaro. The Empire took Figaro. Coming this way. Now, here, they mention South Figaro in the first part of the line, I think to make the cadence make more sense when reading this line. But it's not Figaro Castle that was taken, it's South Figaro, as you'll notice on all the other translations. Even the Google translation managed to get that right. Don't have a moment to lose. Someone has to sneak into South Figaro. Slow down the Empire, right? Yeah, it's right up your alley. Good luck. You're being voluntold. Wait for me. And, don't let a lecherous young king who shall remain nameless near you. I love the whole, you know, like, we've already kind of talked about this. Edgar's, kind of creepy in his approach to women. But his reactions are hilarious. Old habits die hard. Whoa. Apparently he had this issue even when he was younger. What are we going to do? Want to see that Esper for myself. There's a raft in the back entrance. It's a gamble. We're fresh out of options, especially if the Empire's coming here. You're in danger here, so you pretty much get volunteered to go to Narsh because, well, you stay here and you're screwed. No time to dilly-dally. That's such a weird phrase. Like, they brought that up in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally. I'd never heard that. Like, dilly-dally, yes. Shilly-shally, no. I'd never heard that before, but I don't know. It seems different variants of that have made it their way into Square games even back this far. Innocent lives are being lost. Well, we stand here and do nothing if you look over at the some of the other translations. We need your abilities. This relic will keep you safe. No, it won't. The Genji Glove. The Genji Glove is not a defensive relic. It is an offensive relic, allowing you to equip 2 different weapons at the same time. It's a very valuable relic. Now, the scene switches at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the save state. And I'm going to say yes, because it changes how the scene plays out. Person who possesses this relic need not fear harm. If you look over at the translation, this line isn't even included in the other versions of the game. It wasn't made in the original Japanese, and it's factually wrong. The person who possesses this relic need not fear harm. That doesn't do anything. If you say yes, the relic you get is different. A lucky charm. The Gauntlet allows you to double grip a weapon or equip a weapon with both hands, increasing its battle power. Again, has nothing to do with keeping you safe. It's just a terrible, terrible translation. I have a plan. Please get everyone together. Who left this piece of paper here? Now, this is a weird line. If you actually go back, I'm going to use the rewind feature here. Look over at Terra's reaction here. She gets surprised and then smiles about it, but it's done so fast that you miss it. And I barely noticed it until someone else pointed it out to me. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reload, because we're actually going to watch that scene. But if you want to see that scene, but you don't want the gauntlet, you say no the first time, and there's another thing you can do by going up here. You can talk to this guy here. I understand you're unease, but even as we speak, innocent lives are being lost. Please lend us your strength. Now, I have a feeling this might have something to do with the fact that this guy has his line delivered in the first scene we watched prior to us receiving the item, but we end up getting the Genji Glove here instead. Now, you don't get to double up on things. You only get to pick one, either the Gauntlet or the Genji Glove. The Genji Glove is the superior choice by any recollection. Double gripping weapons usually works better with big swords and such. So like here, we open this up and look over here. Okay, you can actually use this two-handed. This will show you if you can use certain abilities or equip it with two hands. So it could be useful that way, but it's not always the case that you can use some of the smaller weapons two-handed. It's usually reserved for the bigger weapons more often than not. But the Genji Glove itself is the far better relic. But if you say that, grab the item, you can, if you continue to say no, you will not get the gauntlet as well, but you can say yes and you can watch the scene. It also plays out this part of the scene a little bit differently. Not too much, but a little bit. Anyway, now we get to see the rest of the scene here. Who did this? Who left this paper here? It's, I think, the only time we see Terra smile this far into the game, which is I think everyone else has smiled or laughed or something, and she's really been kind of down in the dumps. Understandably so, but she's been down in the dumps all game long, so it's nice to finally, give her a little bit of levity. We all know the Empire is using Magitech power in battle. The point is, how has the Emperor created it? The Empire is forcing the world's finest scholars to study espers. All the trouble in Narsh is all over in Esper too. Some connection between espers and Magitech. Interesting. Only recall one thing linking espers with Magitech power. The War of the Magi. Apparently Locke's grandma used to tell him stories about magical machines. Could they have been true? The ancient tragedy of the War of the Magi being played out again. I like Edgar's line in the Game Boy Advance version a little more here, where he talks about a second war instead of playing out a tragedy once again. Anyway, it's just speculation. Historical studies have provided a number of conflicting and frightening theories. Scrolling down the Google or the Game Boy Advance translation, that's the one I refer to most if I want to look at a more accurate translation. Fan translation hasn't been very accurate so far. It's a somewhat different game through that, and the Google translation is just there to laugh at for all the dumb translations it does. According to one theory, humans and machines were imbued with powers drained from espers. Game Boy Advance, one theory says energy drained from espers was used to power machines, and that ordinary humans also infused with that same energy. So it's interesting to kind of see additional clarification in a lot of cases from the Game Boy Advance translation. Can only fight Magitech enemies with Magitech weapons. It's risky. If we have Terra speak with the Esper, we might just wake up. It's an interesting thought. Is it wise to unleash whatever this Esper is? We don't really know a whole lot about it other than it has something to do with the War of the Magi. So waking it up, probably not the smartest thing we could do at this point. We need Terra's help. Sabin's line here, "What nonsense! You sound as if you're enjoying this," comes out of nowhere. If you look over there, I'm not entirely sure I understand the plan, but what the hey? Sounds like it'd be fun. Apparently this is some kind of a weird translation that didn't translate very well the first time around. That would make a lot more sense. Basically, the idea here is Sabin's supposed to be, the big muscle-bound guy. He's not supposed to be particularly intelligent. I don't think it's mean-spirited most of the time, but it's just kind of more of if it's a complicated plan, don't send in Sabin to make it all work. Instead, you're better off sending in maybe Edgar or something like that, who seems to deal with machines, considering his tools. And after this situation, then the soldier comes in. And the scene plays out very similar. But we had that whole meeting first to kind of understand what was going on a little bit more. Haven't a moment to lose. Yeah, we've already seen the dialogue here, so I'm just going to skim through it because we already did it. And please don't let a lecherous young king, who shall remain nameless, anywhere near you. We'll escape down the Leet River. Now, this was another one that I missed. Apparently, I was reading something about it. The Leth River, or Leith River, however you pronounce that, over on the Game Boy Advance. Words are hard. The Game Boy Advance translation there, and all the other ones too. Apparently, that's what is it? I think it was like a Greek river or something like that. Something to do with Greek mythology. It's not. It's not like, what was the main river? The river Styx is the only one I'm, typically, familiar with. But I'm not sure if that's just a river in Greece or if it's part of the mythology or what it was. But apparently it was supposed to be a reference to that, not translated the way the SNES version did. There's a raft by the back entrance. Let's make for Narsh. All right. So they've given us control here, and let's backtrack out of here before we continue here. Give our regards to Bannon. Basically, all of the other translations, except for the Google one, make more sense here. The word is very hard to translate into English, but it's something you learn if you learn like basic Japanese. Basically, it can mean so many different things, and they completely kind of missed it. The problem with this here is they're saying, give our regards to Bannon. Meanwhile, Bannon's with me. He's in my party. He replaces Locke, who decided to take off for a little bit. Bannon, you can't see his equipment, but of course we know. Press over to the side there. He's got a Punisher staff there, which is much better than the stuff that we have. Same with the Magus hat and the Silk Robe. We won't find that gear until quite a bit later, but that's fine. We've lost our running shoes because they were on lock at the time, but that's not a big deal because I don't really need them at the moment. And we got a whole bunch of new stuff anyway. First things first, we minus... the Genji Glove here increases your defense a little bit. A weapon in each hand. Not really useful at the moment. This protects against Imp and Mute. Gives you a little defense, a little magic defense, and more importantly, that magic block. Oh, the running shoes were removed from lock. There are certain points in time in this game where equipment is automatically removed from characters who leave your party, and certain times where it's not. So keep that in mind. I will try and point out specific situations where it happens, but I don't know all of them, and they're not always particularly important. Alright, we're going to give you... What am I going to give you? I think I'm going to give you the white cape, just so you have something. Yeah, that's probably pretty good there. And let us backtrack out of here. There's an additional line that we can get over here. If we head back into here and talk to this guy, doesn't seem to be in good shape. But if you go over here, the Empire's invading. Oh, what happened to the music? Sleep talking. Yeah, and that kills the music for the rest of the room. It's kind of weird that way. Anyway, that's pretty much all we can do here. Covers all the different variations on the scenes here. I know we didn't make a lot of progress, but I did want to go over all those things. The next thing we want to do is we're going to go pretty much down here. And doesn't matter who has it on. probably want to remove the sprint shoes. Just saying, it might make things a little bit easier for you. Yeah, the rest of that's probably all fine. Not that it matters all that much. But yeah, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Next time, we take a step into the Elite River and head for Narsh. That's all for this one. And I'll see you guys next time.